Hello, my name is Peyton Penninger, and this is my oral presentation on my research paper. I use death as a motive in the story The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. I use this because Edgar Allan Poe is known to use death as the main theme in a majority of his stories. He uses death as a motive because he is surrounded by death, and throughout his whole life, his loved ones and close ones have all died. Our first example in the story of death is when the narrator comes home and kills his cat, and he actually comes home drunk, which is our first indication that he is also addicted to alcohol. His addiction to alcohol goes on to be the result of many killings of animals, mostly cats, and the writer goes on later in the story to try to justify his actions with being possessed by a demon, which could show that Edgar Allan Poe was might have been addicted to alcohol, felt depressed, or maybe felt that he was possessed by a demon because he tried to express how he felt throughout his life in his stories, because it was a time when men were supposed to be strong and didn't express feelings. I suppose how it is today, men are supposed to be strong and not express feelings, but he tries to in his stories, especially using death in most of his stories. Throughout the story, it goes on to tell how he killed these animals and buried one alive, including burying his wife in a wall that he also buried a cat that he feels like was against him. He even goes to court, and in front of the judge, he tells how he had hanged a cat and had a tear rolling down his face because he actually hated killing cats, but when he would start drinking and become drunk, it felt as if he was not himself, and a demon had possessed him and was controlling his body. And every time he had killed an animal, it's like a demon had taken a little bit more control over himself. I think this describes Edgar Allan Poe's life and how he feels maybe there was a darkness over him his whole life. And throughout all of his stories, he talks about the darkness, and it shows a great deal of how he was depressed and how he maybe had felt something was controlling over his life, like a demon or a darkness, and especially a very religious time, maybe God had been against him. That's just how he felt because all the death surrounding him throughout his whole life. From a very young age, Edgar Allan Poe was surrounded by death. His father had actually left him, and then when his mother died due to tuberculosis, he had moved into foster care. When he moved into foster care, his foster mother had actually also died to tuberculosis. Growing up, he loved to write to try to express his feelings because, as I stated, in a time where men and boys could not really express their feelings, he would write it down. Later in life, his wife actually died to tuberculosis as well, which may have been why he felt as if something was against him in the world. 3 of his closest women to his life, his mother, his foster mother who tried to take care of him, and then his wife, all died to the same disease, which is extremely unlucky. And that's why he felt like everything was against him and that he had no control over the darkness in his life, which is why he tried to express it in his stories, especially The Black Cat, with the narrator dealing with alcoholism and continually killing animals. Maybe even if he didn't want to, he continued to kill cats and continued to drink, even though he hated it, and he would literally cry about it, actual tears coming out, and he just felt like there was nothing he could do about it, which is like Edgar Allan Poe's life. Felt like he had nothing that he could do about his loved ones dying. And I believe that's why death as a motive is the best example to describe The Black Cat and a majority of Edgar Allan Poe's stories. Thank you.